Well, this morning's reading is like the original, unedited version of a novel or movie. Ironically, it comes to a conclusion without the women or us readers ever encountering the risen Christ. And its rather abrupt ending indicates that the three women disobeyed the young man's instructions to go and tell the disciples that Jesus would meet them at Galilee, concluding with the words, "And they said nothing to anyone, for they were afraid." If you feel this is somewhat of an anticlimax and you're uncomfortable with this sort of ending, you're not alone. Your Bible most likely includes two passages after this final verse entitled "The Shorter Ending of Mark" and "The Longer Ending of Mark." In both attempts to provide a more satisfactory ending of the Gospel of Mark, the women seem to have a change of heart and tell the other disciples what they saw, and Jesus in fact makes an encore appearance. And as tempting as it may be to choose one or both of the two alternative endings of the Gospel, I think I'll stick with the original. And I'll stick with it because it's messier, because of the more human-like characteristics of the three women, because it's more believable with its untidy loose ends, sort of like everyday life. In this morning's Easter story, it's interesting to note how many people missed the miracle because they thought they had read the final page of the story. When they had watched Jesus taken down from the cross, his broken body wrapped in a linen cloth and placed in a tomb, when they witnessed the large stone rolled across the door of the tomb, sealing inside the body of Jesus, they thought they had read the final page of the story. They had no idea of the miracle that would take place. Had they imagined that the stone would be rolled away and that the dead and lifeless body of Jesus would be raised, I have no doubt that Mary Magdalene, Mary the mother of James, Salome, as well as all of the other disciples would have been camping out in the graveyard to witness the miracle. But they missed it. They missed the miracle because they thought they knew how the story would end. Everyone thought the story would end with the three women convincing someone to roll back the stone so they could anoint the body. And that would be the end of it. Sometimes we miss the miracle because of the assumptions we make. We think we know how the story goes. We think we know how it will end, and so we miss the miracle. Last Sunday, a handful of our people and I were treated to a pre-Easter miracle at the prayer vigil for Trayvon Martin at St. James United Methodist Church. If I am honest, I had mixed feelings about attending this event. I wanted to show my support by attending the vigil, but I also knew that the worship style of our African American sisters and brothers can be very different from what I'm accustomed to. It can be louder, longer, less structured, and let's be honest, livelier than our own. I wasn't at all sure what to expect, and so I had my own questions, which I anticipated would be answered in due time. Sort of like the questions that this morning's three women had as they approached the tomb. Who will roll away the stone for us from the entrance to the tomb? Like the disciples, I had constructed my own ending to the day's story. In my story, I would join my church members in our pew and we would sit quietly and afterward congratulate ourselves for stepping outside of our comfort zone and showing our support for this important justice cause. But God had other plans. Well, shall we say God and my friend Reverend Valda Combs, the pastor of St. James Methodist and organizer of the vigil, had other plans. As soon as I stepped through the front door, a greeter brushed away my plans to join my church members, guiding me to a room where Reverend Valda would want to pray with all the clergy. And as I sat cloistered in the room with others, making small talk and nervously looking over the printed order of the service, I breathed a silent prayer of thanksgiving that my name was nowhere on the page. But just in case Reverend Valda threw a curveball my way, as she has been known to do, I had within my coat pocket a lovely little prayer just for the occasion, which had recently come out from our denomination. If called upon, I would read it to the 120 people who were present and take my seat. Do you ever try to manage life like that? Do you ever anticipate problems and make sure you have tucked away in your back pocket plans B and C? Do you ever forget that you really aren't in control of anything, that God is, and that if you could just manage to let go and let God, life would be so much easier?